So in order to kind of overcome this, stealth is obviously very key, okay? Whenever possible, don't get in the water when you're going after carp. Stay on the bank as much as you can. If you do have to get in the water, use very slow movement when you're in the water. You know, we want to creep. If you've ever gone bone fishing in really skinny water, it's the same kind of thing. You just want to creep really slowly when you're in the water. And again, stay out of it as much as you can. Keep the sun behind you as much as possible. Shadows will spook carp, but are there any hunters in here? Deer hunters, elk hunters? Okay, so he'll know when I bring this up. So in the first thing in the morning, when you're out on a hillside and you're scanning, the last thing you want is the sun coming up over that hillside in front of you. You can't see the hill anymore, right? So you always try to sit with the sun at your back, looking through your optics at a hill. Well, that's exactly what happens fly fishing. The water becomes those optics. So when we have the sun at our back looking down, it will actually help light up the carp to us because the full sun, right, is on the scales of that bright carp, and it makes it very difficult for that carp to see back through all the glare on the water. A lot of people do the opposite of this because they think, well, I can't let my shadow get on the fish. And yeah, that's true. If you have your shadow go over the fish, you're going to scare it. But you need to be on that side anyway and just manage your shadow. Always try to have the sun at your back. It is very difficult to trick a carp if you're lit up and he's looking towards you in the sun. He's going to see you. It's doable, but it's very, very hard. Whenever possible, use structure to break up your outline. Stay behind things. I'll show again in some of the videos, there's bushes in front of me. I'll even crawl in behind bushes sometimes just to make sure I have structure in front of me breaking up my outline so it's not obvious, right? The carp's seen that there's structure there before. So me being behind it now is not something new to him. There's always been structure there. So use that structure whenever possible. And then wear clothes that match the background. On almost all of my videos, most of them, I'm in this beautiful light blue. It's not that I love light blue. It's that if you look at the sky behind me in that picture, it's very close to that color. There's a spot that I like to fish. It's just a canal that's about 6 feet above the water that you can walk along. And I like to go out there to test my clothes out because I can see the reaction of the fish. It's massive. So before I did that, I wasn't as worried about this. This is critical for carp. It makes a huge difference. Wearing clothes that match your background. Now, obviously, if you have trees and stuff in your background, wearing camo or earth tones is great. But most of the time where we fish for carp, it's pretty wide open. It's big blue skies is what we like, and so you end up wearing light blue a lot. And then use ambush tactics if you can't move quietly. There's a lot of places that I go where, like, just even getting to the bank, you're pretty loud. So what I do is I'll move way back from the bank. I'll move along the bank, maybe I'm 50, 60 yards away, and then I'll come straight in because I know I'm going to be loud right here. I'll get in until I get in a position where I got some structure in front of me, but I'm close enough to cast, and then I'll just sit there and wait for carp because I probably scared these ones, but I'm going to wait for some other ones that are moving around to come into that area because I know I can't get into that area without scaring them. I can't be quiet enough. So then I'll sit in that spot and I'll use ambush tactics. I also do it on my paddleboard a lot. Again, I'll show some videos of that where I will get to a spot that I know carp are likely to move through, and then I'll set my paddleboard up right against some bushes and I'll try to stay low and I'll wait for carp to move in that area because if I'm out moving around, I'm not quiet enough and they're going to see me. It all depends on the conditions, but using ambush tactics is a way you can be stealthy if you can't get on them quietly. Okay, so this is a little video here. So first right here, you can see where I've positioned myself behind this structure right here. So I noticed that you can see there's a whole bunch of carp right up here, and I can see all of them. They're moving the branches here, and they're eating bugs and stuff off of these branches right here. So I moved up into position here, keeping this structure in between myself and the fish, and then I'm waiting for the fish to present a good shot for me. We'll go into more detail of that, but I really want the fish, whenever possible, to be perpendicular or towards me in this range, towards me. All right, so I make a cast here. Obviously, this is really close. Pull the fly over, and then I drop it in there, right? I waited for him to come out, and we're going to get into that. That's one of the techniques we're going to talk about real quick. But I just wanted to show on this one how you set up for a carp using structure to hide. Okay, so same thing here. I've got these guys coming up the bank here. I've stayed where I know they're going to come around all this stuff right here. So I'm in an ambush position for when they come out around this. I can get a fly on them right as they start coming out, cast to them. This is from Sunday. Yeah, and we're going to go into the technique in more detail in just a second. The one thing I want you to notice here is see how far from the bank I am. Right, I'm keeping a big gap between myself and the edge of the water. If I'm up here, they're going to see me and I'm going to spook them. So I'm always, whenever possible, I'm going to leave a big gap between myself and the edge of the water as well. So it's hard to tell here, but I'm on my knees there. So I crawled into that spot because there wasn't structure enough and got up just high enough to see before I made a cast to this fish.
And this is your first cast. You get one cast.
Yeah, you can sometimes, depending on how it works out, you may get more than one, but usually, yeah, one cast. So this is hard to see here, but there's a whole bunch of structure right here. So I'm behind all that structure right there. That's 5 or 6 feet high. All right, so I'm a little closer there because I have something in front of me that allows me to get a little closer to the fish. Okay, again, I'm just showing you, the distance from the bank here, staying back, and then there's a little bit of structure here. All right, I'm in these bushes. These are pretty tall in front. I'm completely behind all this stuff. And this is all pretty tall. It's hard to see sometimes from these videos. Carp's coming in from this side, so he can't see me at all when I do the drag and drop. And drag and drop is the technique we'll talk about. Again, you see the distance I have between myself and the edge, right? And I actually crawled into that spot as well. If you want to catch carp, occasionally got to get on your knees.
So is that like 15 feet? I mean, that's...
Between me and the edge there? Yeah, I don't know, that's quite 15, maybe 12 feet, but yeah. I mean, it all depends on what the structure is and stuff like that, but I like to leave as much as possible, honestly. Stay as far back as you can where you can still make the cast. Okay, and again here, this is all high structure in front of me, but I'm still a good ways behind it. And there was a big bush in the way there that was so there, I don't have to crawl on this one because this is high enough, but I just kind of threw that in there to show kind of what you go through. And then notice the speed that I'm walking here, right? There's a tailing fish up here. I can't see it really well, and I sped it up here at the end. But I just wanted you to see that really, really slow walk that it takes not to spook the fish. And then one thing you notice, I don't know if you notice, I cast to the side before I put it over the fish, right? You don't get your fly line up above them. Make sure you're keeping that low until you're ready to put it over the fish.